In today's episode of Trading Card Game Thursdays, I'm going to show you how to make custom card backs for Edo Pro. Okay, so I've already got the card loaded up in Photoshop. I've got the dimensions, they just popped up on screen, but it's 480 by 700. So just like in the last video, I'm going to make a new layer over this layer. And I've already got an artwork that I want to use in mind. So I'm just going to go ahead and Control V that. And look at this sexy Obelisk the Tormentor artwork. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to resize it a little bit, like right there. I think that looks cool. Well, right there. You still get his big scary face, some of the body, but you get that electric punch that's coming. And something that I like to do, you don't have to do this. You can just like resize it to the card like so. And then you would get the whole artwork in there, but it does kind of stretch it a little bit, so that's not what I want. I want this. So what I like to do is I like to take my square marquee tool, draw a square around, make sure you have the Obelisk the Tormentor image selected, draw a square, it'll just default it to the size of your canvas, Control C, Control V, and then you just delete the one that you pasted, and now this will be perfectly, perfectly sized to your card art. The reason why I left this here is because there are a couple of things that you can do. Like you could just save it just like this. That would actually be a pretty badass card art. But I'm going to add a little bit more to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control Shift New. I'm going to make a new layer. I'm not going to name it because I just don't care. I'm going to take the square marquee tool again and do the same thing that I did earlier. Just draw a square around my blank layer that I just made. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select stroke. I'm going to set that to 30 pixels and I'm going to set it for, let's just do white. I'm going to set it for white and then I'm going to click OK. Then if you deselect that, it's almost the same. By doing 30 pixels, it's almost the exact size of the one that's already there. Like you can still see a little bit of the orange there, but it's pretty damn close. You could probably do about 31 or 32 pixels and it would be a perfect 1-to-1 of this border. And I just think the border makes it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to add my artwork back. I'm going to add my white border back. I'm going to right click on my border and I'm going to go to blending options. And then this is going to pull up the blending options tab. I'm going to kind of have it to the side here where I can still see a little bit of my border here. And I'm just gonna play around with it. Adding the drop shadow looks kind of cool. One thing that I do want to do, I want to add a gradient overlay. I want to, not a color overlay, I'm sorry, gradient overlay. I clicked color overlay. And I'm going to, these are the default gradient overlays. I'm just going to find one that looks kind of cool. Looking for something that's kind of dark but still retains the same colors. Ooh, I actually like that. What about reversing that? Yeah, that actually looks really cool. So you can play around in the gradient overlays. Right here where it shows your gradient, if you just click that, you can tweak all of these colors and make the gradient that you want. But I actually really like this just default gradient. You don't have to add the drop shadow, especially once you add the gradient. But if you look right in here in the torso area, adding the gradient just adds a little bit of depth. Adding the drop shadow adds a little bit of depth. You could shrink that down a little bit. Whoopsie daisy. I'm just going to reset it to default. And then bump the distance out a smidge. And if you wanted to, you could add a bevel or an emboss to the card back, but it's It's all just up to you. Just play around with the options. I don't particularly like the bevel emboss for this, but I do like the color. I'm actually probably just going to turn off the drop shadow completely and just have that. And that is it. One other thing that I think could look cool, I am going to pull up the original card here. I'm going to click, I'm going to click down here in the bottom corner and hold it and pick the ellipse tool. And I am going to, just kind of draw that out a little bit. I'm going to shrink the opacity. I'm going to try to keep it there. That is the perfect, well, almost perfect. There we go. We're getting it now. I think this is going to look kind of odd on the Exodia. Or not the Exodia, excuse me. Obelisk the Tormentor. Make that back to white. Hide that. Bring up our thing. You could add the same... copy the layer style so you don't have to do all that work again. You could... Paste layer style. You could add that and then set that for like 60. And still have the same kind of look that the original Cardback had if you wanted to. I don't think it really works very well with pictures. It's more for like if you have like a solid color or like the starburst effect or whatever. So I'm actually just going to leave it like this. You could add your own custom text to it. Whatever you want to do. And just like in the last tutorial, you're going to want to go back to your textures file. Or your textures folder, which is in your Project Ignis. Then you're going to go textures. Cover is for player 1. Cover 2 is for player 2. I was editing cover, so that is the player 1 Cardback. So I'm going to right click on it. I am going to rename it. And the main reason why I name everything copy is so once I save my image, if it doesn't work for whatever reason, I still have the original to fall back on, so it doesn't make the game crash. So the format is a PNG. So you'll just go File, Save As, Save on your computer. It'll should default you to the Textures folder. If not, just navigate to your Project Ignis Textures. Change that from a PSD to a PNG. Not Pixar. PNG. And then you're just going to keep the name cover. Going to click Save. And then click Done. And that's it. I'm going to go ahead and get down into Edo Pro and show you what it looks like. Back in a sec. So here we are in Edo Pro. And as you can see, there is our custom Cardback. You can't see it very well because it's kind of small. But if you wanted to, you could just have yours be something and you could have their cool artwork on player 2. Or it's really whatever you want to do. Also, like I said, and like I've been saying, I am going to try my best to customize this entire game. We've already customized the rock, paper, scissors. I just need to finish up paper and scissors. We've customized our Cardbacks. I'm going to customize all these field options, these colors, the whole field, this background, the life bars, all these buttons, the whole thing. Like I said, I want to customize this entire game and give you guys the knowledge to where you don't have to download a theme if you don't want to. If you want to make your own custom theme, you're gonna have the options to do so. But if you like the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think about the video. Stay tuned for more Edo Pro customization videos. But I'm Emerald Void, and before I go, I've just got one question for you. Are you feeling nostalgic yet?